Well, it's deja vu all over again. Japan snapping up assets here in the US and everywhere else, apparently. We got John Bussey to discuss this. This was a front page story today.
Yeah.
It's deja vu, but it's not. So explain what's similar.
That's right. Well, this is a story out of our Tokyo bureau. Inagaki and Natsuko Fukase have written this, and it's on the page 1 today. What's interesting is that I'm not sure that people understand how much cash Japanese companies have on the order of $2.6 trillion worth of cash.
We've got a graphic there, which basically, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, pretty striking. It's a lot more than U.S. companies, have. At
$80 billion spent on mergers and acquisitions last year by Japan. I mean, that's a huge amount of money.
And $34 billion so far this year. So they're on a trajectory to surpass last year, which was a record year. So what's going on? Well, you've got a lot of things working toward this trend. You've got a strong yen, right, which makes it cheaper in U.S. dollar terms to actually acquire things overseas.
Yeah.
You've got declining demographics in Japan.
There's not enough babies in Japan to replace the population. Is
right,
what you
and
mean
it's
by
getting
that,
older. They're buying less, folks. So companies are looking and saying, hey, our sales are down. Where are we going to get growth? We're going to get growth overseas. So the yen, the amount of dollars, the demographic change, and the need suddenly for energy sources, right? This is a country that way disproportionately compared to other nations dependent upon nuclear power. Yeah. And what's been going on since their nuclear disaster a year ago, a little bit more than a year ago, they've been shutting down their remaining nuclear.
They have no coal, they have no oil. So are people getting upset about this? I remember the first time that Japan went on a spending spree, back in the 80s and 90s. People got very upset, and I never understood that. I was like, well, so what? It's rich people buying stuff, and I'm not rich, and it doesn't matter what nationality they are. Yeah. They're buying stuff. So what?
Yeah.
So are they getting upset again?
And as it turns out, way overpaying for it, and then selling it back to Americans at a substantial discount, right? So this was a great deal for American companies and American investors.
Buy high, sell low.
Yeah, there we go.
That's the way to lose money.
That's right.
But why should, I mean, great. So they're buying stuff. Somebody's got some money from the Japanese. Japanese have got what they wanted. Why is that bad for anybody?
I don't think you see a backlash now. Why? Because a lot of this has been happening a little bit more quietly. It's not these kind of iconic things like Rockefeller Center and Hollywood Studios, right, that have a sort of a high profile.
Badly at the time. It went down really badly.
What is it? It's grain operators, it's tobacco companies, it's beer, it's energy operations. These are things that are such more organic to the manufacturing sector and to the economy. But the other thing is that I think that the rise of Japan in the 1980s spooked a lot of Americans. They were kind of concerned that America was being transcended economically, couldn't keep up. And Japan simply isn't in that position of kind of spooking at the moment. And very interestingly in this story, they're being much more surgical about the types of investments
they've learned some stuff because they were a bit slow off the mark in the 80s and 90s. When it came to getting stuff, they were like, oh, we got to consider it, we got to do it, and then they'd lose the deal, right?
Yeah, that's right. And these two reporters out of our Tokyo bureau kind of also dissect the sort of the manner in which the companies are going at acquisitions. Now, in the past, very often they were partnerships. They kind of came at them culturally sort of at a disadvantage. They allowed somebody else to run it. It didn't go well. Now what they're thinking is we're going to take these over. We're going to actually run them entirely. We're going to pay retention bonuses, which we didn't tend to do in the past, to people that we want to keep to run the business. So the M&A process is a bit more sophisticated, a little bit more mature this time around.
They've sort of grown up there. This could be great, though. If they've got a big sack full of cash and they want to spend money, could we sell them a bridge? I mean, I got a couple on the East River.
Yeah,
we could sell them.
I think Americans are going to look at this and they're going to say there's a much bigger concern that we have with the Chinese economy rising and being competitive with the U.S. manufacturing sector and U.S. industry in general. They're going to look at Japan as one more player in the international market, and Japan's going to look at the international market as a way to transcend its own limitations at home, particularly the fact that not a lot of babies are being born.
They aren't. They need to fix that somehow. Anyway, we've got to leave it at that. Thank you very much. Always a pleasure.
My pleasure.
John Bussey.